Well, let's see if we can do this again. I, I got to tell you, this was really bizarre. Um, I don't know. It's the internet. So welcome back. The internet kill switch. All right. Well, you know what? I got favor. You know, even the internet gremlins can't take us down. So welcome back, everyone. I'm back live, and it's good to be live. Let's see if this can handle this again. Um, Really odd. I know a lot of people who have been having computer issues. I wonder if that is just coincidental or is it real? So we were talking about the favor factor. And also, before, if we should get cut off again, which I don't expect us to, but tonight I will be on the Steiger Perspective, my radio show over at the Artist First network, going to be talking about the United States of Hate and why we think that this could be something of, I don't know, spell casting. Is the United States under a spell? Is there a spell of hate that has been cast upon us? And as in the Wizard of Oz with the Wicked Witch of the West, is she put the proverbial sleeping potion into the crystal ball? Who knows? So, oh, we need to see the entire shirt, please. Okay. Says, I'm sorry if I offend you with my common sense. So, you know what? If we would just apply more common sense. So here's something I'm going to spring on y'all. Explain to me how, supposedly they tell us, anthropologists tell us that man went through the Bronze Age before the Iron Age. But wait a minute. Bronze is a much more complicated refining process, copper and tin, where iron is pretty straightforward. Doesn't take all that much intelligence to speak of. So how did the more advanced proceed the more regressed? Anyone want to venture on that? No? No takers? Okay. So let's talk about favor. Why you need it in your life, why it can absolutely turn your life around. It can bring health to you. It can end lack in your life. It can correct so many different situations in your life. But as I was talking to a very good friend of mine prior to coming on here, I said, how often had you ever considered favor in your life? And he was honest, as he is. He's a man of high integrity, says never. And that's probably the answer for so many. In fact, many have a wrong definition of favor. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to give you a little quote on a couple. So this is Merriam-Webster's favor. This is a verb, to regard or treat with favor, to do a kindness for, to treat gently or carefully, to show partiality towards, to give support or confirmation to afford advantages for success. Imagine that. Imagine if you had favor in your life, that everything I just described to you was part of your life. Here's another one. This is out of Collins Dictionary. It says, if you regard something or someone with favor, you like or support them. If you do someone a favor, you do something for them, even though you don't have to. 3, if you favor something, you prefer it to other choices available. 4, if you favor someone, you treat them better or in a kinder way than you treat other people. That's how it works, folks. It's favor, friendly, to be kind or regard to hold above, to show partiality. Yeah, imagine that, to show partiality. One last one here. Let me give into this one here. Approval, support, again, over generous, preferential treatment. I love that one. Over generous, genuous. There you go. I always get those tongue tires, huh? With preferential treatment. An act of kindness beyond what is due or usual. It goes on and on. The point that I'm trying to get to in all this is, if we understand the definition of favor, which we should, then we should, by nature, have that in our process. Think about this. And I've been at this for decades. I can tell you, I actually wrote this down in preparing for this show. I know of at least 6 times that favor has intervened in my life and saved my life. Back in December 19th, 1970, 5:20 p.m., I was hit by a car. Run over, I'm telling you. And the person left me. February 12th, 1971, 4:10 p.m. I still got the scar right there, as many of you may be able to see it. And that was a result of putting my hand through a window accidentally, but I almost bled out. 2 events between 72 and 73, where I was almost murdered. Again, in August 94, the meningitis, Lyme disease, coma, the whole bit. Look what you have in your life. And think about those times that you should have maybe died, been more seriously hurt, whatever, but you weren't. It's favor. There is no God in the pantheon, in the plethora of man's imagination, of the gods that he has invented. None of these gods are a god of over favor. None of them. But the odd thing is that you can actually invoke their favor over your life. Isn't that interesting? The thing about favor, it helped me back in the 70s to learn how to meditate. When I learned these principles as a very young man, it was quite a revelation. It was an epiphany for me. I can thank Edgar Casey, particularly, for helping me. Hello, Brad. How are you doing? Grace does mean, in the Bible, in the Greek text, unmerited favor. It does. Think about that. Unmerited favor means there's nothing you could do to earn it. The whole religion was based upon that. But we know where they got those principles from. So Edgar Casey, through his school, I began to understand some of the giftings. And it's real interesting, because when I made the transition from Edgar Casey, then getting into the charismatic movement, subsequently into the Word of Faith part of the Christian faith, grace was tantamount to the whole belief system. Grace, unmerited favor, nothing you could do. And actually, it goes further to state it's like being showered with gifts. I don't know. Does that sound good to you? It sounds really good to me. Think about this. How many of you are hurting right now financially? How many of you desperately, man, I'm getting a sense here. Wow, I hope that's not the case, but I'm getting the sense that there's some that even have a struggle of eating, having enough food. I mean, there's no need for that. And you think about it, there is a way that that can be reversed. And meditating on favor, folks, takes all the uncertainty out of meditation. It takes all the anticipation. It begins to set for each individual a singular point of focus. And we're going to read here a little bit from Franz's books, Initiation into Hermetics, how you need to conquer this. Now, in all of the philosophies, all of the ideologies, all of the religions, it is stated, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I could just go on and on and on. And those are key points. What's in abundance in your heart that you speak out all the time? What is your speech like during the day? It'd be quite an experiment for some to take a recorder and let it play. If you got Alexa or the other one in there, guess what? Google and Apple are already doing it for you. You might be surprised what you sound like. The greatest percentage of most people do not hear themselves talk during the day. It's quite amazing. Those who have taken the meditative approach of self-talk, you become very aware. Out of the abundance of your heart, the mouth speaks. As a man thinketh of himself, and now man is figurative on a non-gender basis. As a woman think of herself, so she is. That's why mirror gazing is important. Who are you? What are you? And if you ever want to get to the next level, you're going to have to get this down, folks. Or you just might as well just hang it up. Go back to wherever you came from that wasn't working for you, that brought you here to begin with. It's just that simple. So one of the things that I found was that with the Christian God, this area of favor was partialed out. It was. And I saw it even when I was very much involved in the organized religion. I worked with virtually all the top televangelists back in the day. Been in many of their homes, and it was always quite surprising to me that they were sitting in multi-million-dollar mansions, but most of the donors were living, in some cases, small apartments. But I had one who was at least honest, who said, well, I've got the favor factor working for me. They're going to give to me. I also know another one that used these same techniques to build an international ministry on. I also know some politicians who have used the same technique to get elected. It works. But the problem is, most don't believe it. You see that sign behind my back? If you learn to doubt your doubts, you'll never doubt your doubts again. The problem is most people have more favor in their doubts, their disbeliefs. And as I told you yesterday, you've created living entities. You have. They feed off of you, and they are now here in many ways hindering you. When you think about the number of people who've actually become billionaires, and I know a couple of them, they'll tell you it was the favor of their God. And these same individuals, most of them have at least 2 private jets. Some have 4 or 5. We're talking Gulfstream 6s. We're talking Citation 10s. We're talking what they would call BBJs. And if any of you know what BBJs are, that is Boeing business crafts, jets. So how do they get this? And how are they using a technique that not everyone that's even in the same belief system that they are is not profiting as well? How is it that some who are not even religious affiliated stumbled onto these techniques and extrapolated them out of the ancient text, applied them to their own lives, and in every case went from rags to riches? Every case. No one failed. Now, this gets into the trappings of be careful what you wish for. That's why it takes wisdom. You have to have equilibrium, balance. What you learn is you walk in a continual, perpetual state of favor. That's the only thing you think of. It absolutely saturates every other thought. You walk in that type of perpetual state of consciousness, the universe is drawn to you. You have favor with everything. I found it important to use a single word in meditation. Now, many times people will get into classes where they'll teach you to start being quieting. They'll use breathing exercises. But here's the problem. No teacher, no master, no guru can fix what's inside. Now, meditation will help you, but listen, if the canal is blocked, it's going to be very difficult for you to see what the other side is going to look like. And you can achieve a certain level of success, but it's limited. Again, there's some key things that are wrong. And the reason why it's mostly wrong is that why it doesn't work out is that people don't believe in themselves. They have such a low level of faith that what they're not understanding, they're channeling their faith over into other things and to their reality. But they're drawn because they're looking for that serenity, that sanctuary. And so for me, I learned this back again in the 80s, that you have to have a controller. The exercise that we talked about on Monday, some of you should be up to 9 minutes now. One of the techniques is, what is a controller? A controller is a thought, a word that takes a rest all other thoughts. I have a place in my mind that's a closet. I mean, it is a literal closet in my mind. And my controller will take these random thoughts and literally, well, Nero, thank you. That's very kind of you. And put them in a closet. Literally. Because what we don't know how to do is have the singleness of thought, one thought. very difficult for human beings to keep that. That's why you have, the monks, the Buddhists, the Dalai Lamas, who spend years mastering the technique of single thought. Now, they're off in a different plane. I find that their religion is still, it's a religion, although it's probably one of the most passive, least aggressive belief systems that I have found. Happen to find a lot of affinity in that. So if you learn what the controller is, you develop that controller. That controller can literally be, it's amazing. Sometimes it's like a vacuum cleaner. And when that happens, then you can really see how the thought controller becomes what we talked about yesterday, the thought light. And I've used this technique by the word favor, because I know subconsciously that this word is an all-encompassing word. The Egyptians knew this. I dare say probably many of the Mesopotamian and other cultures around the world who have their high priest of their societies, their cultures, knew the power of a word. Now, the word favor is what they call a spirit word. It's a breath word. Favor. It's not a guttural word. It's not what they call a flesh word. So favor is a spirit word. It has the vibrations to it. Favor, favor. And as you begin to focus in on that, you don't have to worry about defining it. Your spirit mind got that figured out already. But what is interesting is that if you learn to start going to sleep, speaking that word, you're first going to have probably some pretty rough nights, because I can guarantee it in this community, and I don't even know how many of us are in here. I'm reading, and well, almost 200 of us. So this is going to be the hardest thing for you to do. But if you can do it and get the first night out of the way, just saying favor, you're going to start reprogramming the submind and the supermind. We call it the subconscious, the superconscious, because the subconscious mind is our worst enemy. It actually, we've programmed, most of us have programmed our subconscious conscious to boomerang us. And it so often does. When you see these unexpected events that come out of nowhere, there's nothing, as we are learning, and this is still part of the Hermetic principles here. We're still in the initiation, folks. We've never left that. Is that you're going to have to understand these events are caused by something you've done. Now, most people that I've dealt with and I've helped through the years is I had to break the poverty consciousness out of them. I used to live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and a lot of the people there are from the Appalachia area. And the hardest thing that I had to deal with people, and some of them I just had to just walk away. They could never get the poverty consciousness, that mindset, that subconscious, superconscious image out. They were poor. They were going to be poor. Their family was poor, and that's just the way it is. And they get by. By God, we get by with what we have, and we're very happy. Thank you. Well, do you have enough food? No, but and it just goes on and on. It's a poverty consciousness that is so pervasive. Now, most people that live in urban areas, they are impregnated with the concept of the image of failure. lacking, not good enough, can't make the measure. These start very early. You feed them. They become living entities. And even those who have found success by other means, and this is not the only means, but that success has killed them. That money killed them because they were still self-destructive with the subconscious and superconscious. Now, if you will start doing this exercise before you go to sleep, if you've got a married couple, I hope both of y'all are on the same page, because you've got a split house if you're not. But if two couples do this, now you're starting to get into some powerful magic. And if you wake up quoting nothing but the word favor, then you're learning. First time that I found out that I could literally fall into my spirit, and I'll describe the experience to you. I can get to a place where there is this light. It's a golden blue-white light. And I begin to feel it back here. It's actually more, literally almost right about here. There's a pressure that builds up. And as I begin to delve into that pressure point, it's like falling. Now, I first time I did it freaked me out, but now I know what, I'm not falling, I'm actually in my spirit. And you can do some powerful stuff here. You teach the me syndrome. I don't even know what the me syndrome is, Donna. What does that mean? I mean, what does that mean? I don't know what me is. It's a part of me. I am me. So then you can get to the point where you can begin to do what I call self-talk, where, you know, if you're in the grocery store, I just say it all the time. I have favor. I have favor with every person I meet. I'll show you how it shows up. And this happens every time. I can get a parking space right next to the door. Not a problem. I can be standing in line and some person will walk up and say, here, this aisle is open. At the dismay of many of other people. I have been in places in airports where I couldn't get into first class. That's all right. You know, some people have to fly coach once in a while, but more times than I can tell you, folks, I will always get upgraded to first class. Always. So what do I have favor with the computer? I don't know. I can, it shows up everywhere. And you get used to it, and you should. Why? Because I don't doubt it anymore. This is a part of my life. It is my life. It's one of the keys to my success. And let me tell you, it was because I had favor that in my failures, I still came out on top. I've had people that have done me terribly wrong. But every time, what they intended to be my harm turned out to be my good. My body heals faster. My wife's a nurse, she'll tell you. My body heals incredibly fast. But that's through years of talking to my body, speaking favor over my body, speaking favor to every organ in my body. It works. There are spells, incantations that one can invoke favor on anything or anyone. I recommend this if you have enemies in your life, if you have unforgiveness, you have something against anyone, regardless whether it was not your fault or whatever. Doesn't matter. Throw that out. That's piss water. Throw it out. It stinks if you keep it around. And what you should be doing is invoking a spell or incantation of favor over them. You speak favor over your enemies, you just took all their power away. You've made them defenseless. It's a fact. And the New Testament borrowed that same principle, particularly with the guy who wrote most of it with his vision of what heaven is like. Now, most will not perform this incantation because it is a cleansing. It's powerful magic. Because what happens to you when you perform this, and you have to do it in the nude, and those of you who want to know, just, write me and I'll tell you how to perform the ceremony. But it's a cleansing for you, not only for your enemy and that which you have against someone else. And when that cleansing takes place, things begin to happen. So here's the goal. Once this has become real to you, your mind, your submind, and your supermind, you can begin to move on to the next step. Now, this is a means of how you can begin to get the things in your life coming into your life. Let's say you have a need. Let's say your faith is built up. I don't recommend you taking more of a bite than you're able to digest. Some people have got the 800-pound elephant proverbially on the table, and they're trying to eat it all at one bite. You can't do that. You're taking small steps. The thing that most people lack that I've talked to is patience. They have very little patience. And that's why they trip up themselves all the time. But let's just say you have a medical bill that came in and it's going to be tight. I mean, yeah, you can take a little bit out of what little you've got going there. So how do you get that need met? I mean, short of, being on a corner and holding up a sign. Well, the thing that you have to take the attitude towards is that medical bill is not an attack on you. The thing is, you got to speak favor with it. Because the need is within you speaking. Remember the laws of hermetic that we have taught? Even inanimate objects are not lifeless. They have energy into them. Remember, the electrons are moving there. Remember what we did yesterday with the inanimate object? Speak to them. You know why so many times I've seen this happen? People will cuss their car. Why, you pile of shit, or something else. And I've seen this. And I've had to stop people. I'm going, well, isn't it any wonder it's breaking down on you? You don't care for it. It's got no favor for you. In fact, if it had its way, it would probably get away from you. Speak favor. That's how it happens. The universe doesn't lack anything. The all doesn't have any need for anything. We're down here in a physical plane dealing with physical laws that transcend all planes of existence. And most of us go through our lives not even able to master one, much less all of them. And that's why we have so many failures in our lives. We won't take out the trash. We're going to deal with that here in a second. So once you have become an invoked in your mind that you can speak to an inanimate object, money, I can show you a spell for money. I'm doing it right now for you. How many of you have called money favor? How many of you have ever said that money sees you with favor? I'll guarantee probably none of you have. And you want to know why it can become such a struggle? You're not speaking to the mountain. And doubt not in your heart, but believe that those things for which you say shall come to pass, you shall have them. But if you have anything against anyone, and you seek not to forgive them, you ain't getting it. You've done sabotaged yourself before you're going. What, cheesesteak? You just said you want a good job. Speak to it. You don't have to define it. You know inside your head what it is. Speak to it. Tell that job it has favor for you. You want a new car? Speak to it. But you know why most of you won't do it? Because you already have limited yourself. Well, how am I going to pay for it? How could I ever? You see, you're doubting your doubts. It's just a fact. Once it becomes real, and as you say this night and day, if you really want it, you'll do it. If you're dying and you want to know how to cure that cancer, you're going to have to understand something. This gets down to the cellular basis. Favor, folks. Your body wants to heal itself. But so many of us, we talk negative to our bodies. And we do it in the most inconspicuous manners at times. So when it becomes real, now you can begin to speak to it during the day. Every time you pass your reflection in a mirror, you can look there and say, I, Catherine, have favor for my new car. My new car has favor with me. Or you could say, Bill, I've got a $142 medical bill I need to get paid. The money's out there. You just have to learn to believe again. You're going to have to believe in what we've been taught as an adult that's only make-believe. But yet you go to church and you pray to an inanimate God, a make-believe God. You see where you've been channeling it at? Your energy is going somewhere. And if you're not the controller of it, somebody else or something else will. And now I'm going to tell you some of the things that you're not going to want to hear. If you do not have patience, don't even try this. Because you're going to get frustrated. And the first time you open your mouth and speak negative on everything that I've been teaching you, you just put it into oblivion. You see, patience, I'll use a direct quote out of the Bible. Let patience have its perfect work in you. And then, once you have been proven and tested, you will be perfect, lacking nothing. Another clue. Patience is an entity. just like wisdom is. Make it your friend. Make it your companion, as I do with peace. Peace and prosperity walk with me hand in hand. They're my intimate lovers. They're my companions. They're my confidants. It goes beyond intercourse. But see, when that becomes as real to you then, in those terms, there's nothing you will find that you can't provide. This is not a plug and play solution. It's not. And we have to sometimes kind of break some of the social tale things that we live in. We live in an instant bake, shake and bake society. And I can't say this enough. You really have to reconcile those places that you've walled off, those places that you don't let anyone see, those places you don't even want to see anymore. And if you have a problem with forgiveness, if you have a problem criticizing others, you most likely are one of the most worst critics of yourself. You've got to learn to forgive and forget. If you have to do the washing ceremony, use that. And remember, you created a living entity. It's an energy life force. And it's not going to go away without a fight. But I have shown you how that can be done and overcome. It's just that way. Hold on one second, folks. There we go. I know this is deep, but you know what? If you really want change, if you want improvement in your life, if you want a new house, it's not a case of that having a want is bad. It's when the want begins to rule you. Now, most people know possessions bring no happiness. In fact, they weigh, for the most part, most of us down. But if we find that balance, there's nothing wrong for you having a nice home. Nothing wrong with you having a good job. It's nothing wrong for you not having the favor of your boss. It's not wrong for you to have the favor of all of your colleagues. Not wrong at all. It can be done, and it is done all the time. Now, you can't go out and start using this for, like a lottery. There is a statistical variation in there. That's why lotteries are always, the way they are. But all of us, you can do any kind of research. The people who have won lotteries have ended up being the most miserable son of a bitches out there. Many of them end up broke, bankrupt, because, again, they never took the time to do the work. Raven Wolf, you're exactly right. The challenge is, hold on a second. I don't know. What is this? Calling time? I get more. It's like every freaking political party out there, It's like, I don't like any of them, so I'm not giving you nothing. I'll tell you, folks, I hope this is, well, thank you, Charlotte. I'm speaking to your spirit because it's my spirit speaking to you all. I've walked down this road. There was an old expression I used to use back in my day, and is that, bullshit walks, money talks. You have to walk the talk. And most people can't. And we can do this. It's just taking the small steps. Like last night, my wife, sometimes because of her position, we're sometimes awakened in the middle of the night. And the technique that I use, again, is just that word favor. Because I know favor, my spirit, my subconscious, my superconscious knows that word. Unmerited favor, grace. It means that I have favor with my body. I have favor with man. I have favor with the gods. I speak favor over our cars. I lay my hands physically on our cars and say, you are a servant unto my house. We love you. We speak only good over you. And do you know, year after year after year, we don't have problems with our cars. We don't. They know. I mean, it happens all the time. Scott, appreciate it, buddy. So we'll get into the reading tomorrow. It's important that we get into how to begin to get these steps to clear out these living entities. And we're going to learn tomorrow that you can do it literally almost within a week. And you know what's going to happen to you? How many of you wake up with voices in your head? Not the voices you want to hear either. I had one good subscriber write. She says, I think there's more than two of me in here. And I said, yeah, there's a lot of us in us. But let me tell you what'll happen to you when you get to this place. You wake up and you're still thinking favor, and you wake up into a serenity. Your body is at peace. I greet the day in peace because I know that there's a veil of favor covering me. It envelops me. It's attracted to me, and I'm attracted to it. It's a constant companion. And you know what? This kind of companion brings a lot of fringe benefits. A lot. To give you an idea, many a times my wife will be out and we're out. I'll look down, there'll be a $20 bill. More than once, been $100 bills. Now, we give away a lot of $100 bills, but yeah, it's just the way it is. So we're going to take all of these things together. Lives are going to be changed here, folks. I know some of you are getting this. I know you are. You write me. Some of you are so eager, and as so many of you who have come out of the churches, and you know that this is what is supposed to be for us. And I write back to you saying you're on the right path. These are giftings. And if faith is calling those things that be not as though they are, let's take those same principles. Let's use them. They work. Work for anybody. Never found a prerequisite other than the fact you can't have hate. You can't have this ability of where if you're a hurtful, spiteful person, and I'll just simply tell you, if you're type that you write bad comments and you deliberately try to invoke anger, fear, division, it's not going to work for you. Might as well pick up your hat and head out the door, Jack. Don't let the door hit you on the ass as you're going out. The fact is, it ain't going to work. But if you want to turn it around, you want peace in your household? Are you tired of the turmoil, the tense feelings in there? Speaking to someone right now. Start calling favor with peace. Peace is a spirit. Tell it you have favor with it. It works, folks. Many of you will start walking around in awe again. Okay. I will see you tonight over on this. We're going to talk about hate. You know, we got to do something about the United States. I can't talk on YouTube because of the censorship, but I can talk on internet radio. And we're going to get into it. It's just the way it works. We got to start dealing with this. And the first thing we've got to do is purge out of our consciousness that you are a political party. You are not. Don't let that control get a hold of you. One last thing. All the moderators, thank you, and everyone else here. Listen, Brian over at Milky Way Weekly is a good man. I know this man. He's a good man. And he is part of this community. He's in this group all the time. Brian is going to be setting up a GoFundMe account. He needs a new computer. And Brian has a message that needs to be heard. And so, Brian, when you get that GoFundMe account set up, I'm putting the first $50 into it, and we're going to get you a new computer one way or the other. We may do it $1 at a time, but we're going to get you a new one. And you know what, folks? I told Brian, I said, you got to call favor with that computer. Tell that computer you love it. Tell him it has favor with you. And tell it what service it's going to be doing. And by the way, you should all on your computers, lay your hands on them. Speak to them. They speak to us. They do. All right. Thank you all. You're just the best. It's a humbling experience dealing with such great people like you. I don't take it for granted. And we're building and we're growing, and together we're going to get it done. It's like Larry the Cable Guy says, let's get her done. All right, folks, be good to yourself. And listen, if you have a need, the best way we can do is to use this medium. We have those that use the internet for casting dark spells. Well, we can start using the internet here for casting favor amongst our group, favor amongst our community, favor with all of our individuals. That favor emanates from us. And people will be attracted to this group. They'll come into this community. And there's many components to this community. It's not just my channel. Good Lord, you got Brian's, you got, there's just a dozen or more. So that's how we do it, folks. So be good to yourself, learn to love yourself, and then love will start becoming, and here we go, right here with the favor factor again. You start loving yourself with favor and calling favor, you're going to become one of the most lovable people, baby. People are just going to want to get next to you. They're going to say, I don't know what it is about you, but there is something I want to be around. And you're just going to smile and you're going to say, yeah, I know. It's because you got favor for me. All right, folks, bless you all. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For those of you tune in tonight, we'll see you on the Steiger Perspective. Be good to yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye. Bye-bye.